A very good evening. Thank you very much for choosing GHOne TV. Always a delight joining you with the latest happenings throughout the country. Well, tonight is no exception. We'll come the length and breadth of the country and we'll bring you up to speed on all the stories that you're looking forward to. Before we do so, let's look at some of the top stories we have for you tonight. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, defilement surpasses armed robbery as most reported cases in NDPC's 2024 Annual Progress Report. Also coming up tonight, Vice President Professor Jane Opoku Agyemang entreats residents of Kitikrachi to adhere to water travel safety protocols as she commiserates with the community over the death of 16 people in a boat accident.
Anya someday. Nemom ne see bisa ho say anamon be ne yebetu ye besre pa ye pamucho yense.
Tonight we'll bring you some legal matters as Medina District Court discontinues prosecution of Daniel Owusu-Kranting, a suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale, following a directive from the Attorney General's office. And we'll bring you more legal matters as OSP seeks in-camera hearing to protect undercover investigator in corruption case against a former secretary of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisiu. And then we'll bring you updates from our world of business as economists welcomes China's elevation of Ghana to strategic partner status, describing it as a move that could enhance Ghana's economic cooperation and strengthen its global bargaining position.
Obviously, if you look at the behavior of the US now and some of their allies, there is a need for us to look elsewhere.
We'll try to bring you some updates from Europe, and here in Belgium, national strike of government's reforms and spending public transport and activities at airports and others. Tonight we're bringing you these and many other interesting stories on the 1 Hour Bulletin. Stay with us, be my guest as we share all these details with you, including some sports updates. My name is Kweku. Thank you very much for choosing GHOne TV. Let's take our very first story for the evening, and here the Medina District Court has discontinued the prosecution of Daniel Owusu-Kranting, a suspect in the murder case of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale, following a directive from the Attorney General's office. Well, Ahmed Swale, a key member of the Tiger IPI investigative team, was shot and killed in January 2019 by unknown assailants. Well, his killing drew widespread condemnation and calls for justice, but the case has since made little progress. In March this year, the Ghana Police Service arrested Daniel Owusu-Kranting, also known as Akwesi Amache, identified as a close friend of Ahmed Swale. Daniel Kranting was accused of selling him out by releasing his photographs to a popular politician in Ghana before his murder. Well, according to sources, Amache had a close relationship with Ahmed Swale, having worked together at the Tiger IPI before Amache's dismissal. Well, the prosecution, led by Chief Inspector Nana Efua Bamfo, informed the court on October 14, 2025, that the Attorney General had advised discontinuing the case. The AG's legal opinion concluded that the supposed call records used to implicate Mr. Kranting were inconclusive and failed to establish any direct or circumstantial link between him and the commission of the offense. Well, the prosecution has also been advised to redirect its investigative efforts towards identifying and apprehending the principal perpetrators of the crime. The court subsequently discharged Daniel Owusu-Kranting. Well, may the soul of Ahmed Swale rest in perfect peace, and may we do more to find the perpetrators of this heinous crime. We'll still stay on legal matters as the OSP has requested an in-camera hearing for the first witness in the case in which Charles Bissiu and 2 others are facing charges including corruption by a public officer. In court on Tuesday, October 14, 2025, Ekwia Ediya, the lead prosecutor in the case, said they want the court to be cleared because the first witness is an undercover investigator and his safety must be protected. Well, according to the prosecutor, the witness safety would be compromised if this testimony is made public. However, lawyers for the accused persons opposed the request. The High Court, presided over by Justice Audrey Kokuvite, has asked the OSP to file a formal request. The case has been adjourned to October 29, 2025 to consider the prosecution's application. Well, according to EIB Network's legal affairs correspondent, an in-camera hearing is a private session in court where only the judge, parties involved, and essential personnel are present, excluding the public and media. Mr. Bissiu's secretary of the defunct Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining is facing 3 counts each of using public office for profit, contrary to Section 179C, subsection A of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. The corruption by the public officer, well, he had pleaded not guilty to the charges. Meanwhile, Raphael Mensah and Dr. Na Dede Tego are each facing a court of abetment of a criminal offense. They have also pleaded not guilty, and the commencement of the trial is expected on Tuesday, October 14, and it has been pushed back following the OSP's requests. Well, away from legal matters, let's rather take a sad one. And here, Ghana's Vice President, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, has urged residents of Kitikrachi in the Oti region to always wear life jackets when traveling on water. Well, she made the appeal during a visit to the community today, following a recent boat accident which claimed 16 lives, including 11 children. Well, she expressed her condolences to the bereaved families and the entire community, describing the incident as a heartbreaking one. Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman also cautioned residents not to take safety on the lake for granted, stressing that the use of life jackets could save lives during such accidents.
We would have loved to hear good news. However, it is not always so. As the good book says, in everything we must give thanks to God. We need to ask ourselves what lessons can be learned from the incident. We came to see where it happened. It shouldn't be that we only come here during campaign periods to dance and celebrate. It is also important to visit from time to time to understand the needs of the people. That is why we are here, to grieve together with you. I plead with you to wear the life jackets because they are important for protecting lives. I urge those who use the river to always ensure that their passengers are wearing them and only remove them when they arrive safely. We also have to add to the little we have so that there can be more. We also have to add to the little we have here so that there will be enough for everyone. I plead with you to wear the life jackets because they are important for protecting lives. I urge those who use the river to always ensure that their passengers are wearing them and only remove them when they arrive safely. We also have to add to the little we have. We also have to add to the little we have here so that there will be enough for everyone.
de be ye bimpo beba beka ho.
Well, may the souls of the 16 departed rest in perfect peace. We'll take you to the community and get more updates. Kweku Japan is the OT Regional Minister. He joins us via Zoom to share insights on the Vice President's visit to the area. A very good evening. Thank you very much for your time, Honorable Minister. Let me find out from you. So, how do you intend getting the life jackets for residents as the Vice President has recommended a short while ago in her audio?
Thank you very much. Even at the ceremony, NADMO brought a lot of laughter.
All right, so Honorable, if you can hear me, because I can hear you from this side, I would want to find out now. Oti, Ketikrati quite a community with a number of people in there. Can we find out how you intend to get more life jackets for those who will be crossing via boats, those who will be running or going to their various communities through the river bodies in there?
Yeah. There were a lot of suggestions by the military. The Minister of Transport said that they were going to form task forces on the entry points to the water lake, where people will be employed to check if anybody going to join a boat was putting on life jackets, and they will also bring life jackets to those points and give life jackets to those who don't have it. The NADMO coordinator brought some life jackets and also promised a system whereby people will be employed to stay at vantage points where people get to the water lake and supervise the movement of the people to the lake, whether they had life jackets on or not. And then those who don't have it will be given some life jackets. So, in short, it is like there were a lot of promises from NADMO and then also from the Maritime Authority. And again, some, the Honorable MP and some personalities also bought about 200 life jackets for the community. In all, there were over 800 life jackets that was brought today, of which 100 of them was going to Okuma community, and then the rest will be going to Karachi West and Karachi in tomorrow. So far, that is what came out from the life jacket issue.
All right, John, we are grateful for all the updates that you've given us. At least we have a fair idea that the community is receiving about 800 life jackets, and there are still promises to get you more. So we are grateful. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Let's move on to other stories. And here, the National Development Planning Commission has coming up with a lot this evening. We're bringing you all those updates on Inside tonight. All right, so let's take insights tonight. And here, the National Development Planning Commission, that's the NDPC's 2024 Annual Progress Report, exposes a rather disturbing situation about defilement in the country. Well, while the overall crime rates declined, defilement surpassed armed robbery as the most reported crime. Well, the Greater Accra region tops with some 304 cases, following followed by the Central region with some 220 cases, and the Ashanti region comes in with some 210 cases. The Oti region recorded the fewest cases of armed robbery with 6 incidents, but relatively high incidents of defilement. That's around 28. The Commission is charging the police to expedite action in ensuring the trend is drastically reduced in year 2025. The report further revealed defilement cases were reported in all the 16 regions of Ghana. Chief Analyst of the NDPC, Isaac Kwesi, highlighted these concerns during the presentation of the NDPC's 2024 Annual Progress Report.
Data shows that total crime, even though it reduced, is still very high. And Greater Accra recorded the highest number of defilement cases, followed by Central region and Ashanti region. Armed robbery remains equally high. It's a major public safety concern. And Greater Accra region recorded so many of them, followed by Ashanti and Eastern region. Ashanti recorded the highest number of murder cases, while Greater Accra registered the highest number of rape cases. But the crime-free area in this country, per the data, is the Northeast region, recorded the lowest overall crime statistics across most of the crime cases.
All right, so frightening statistics on defilement, and definitely we would want to get to the bottom of it. Executive Director for Child's Rights International, Bright Appiah, has joined me right now via Zoom to discuss these issues coming up from the NDPC's report. Thank you very much, Bright, for joining us this evening. Let me find out from you. So the Greater Accra leading the chart with over 300 defilement cases in year 2024. Yes, something we should be worried about, and what do you think is accounting for this?
Well, it's true that we need to worry ourselves with that, in the sense that as a country we've positioned ourselves very well within our legislative framework to ensure that we protect children who face those kind of things. So it's worrying that it is happening. And we're still talking about it in terms of the numbers. And I feel that beyond the numbers, we should also be very proactive in terms of dealing with people who commit such offense against children, and then also push for a proper advocacy work for people to understand the context in which we need to handle some of these things, so that people do not think that once a child gives consent to sex or consent to certain activities, it's just a passport for people to do whatever they want to do. So clearly that distinction is not clear. So, and I strongly believe that that is what is pushing some of these things. Again, one of the things that is also pushing has to do with the fact that within our traditional system, our chiefs and opinion leaders and even assembly members tend to handle some of these matters at their level. For that matter, people do not get to a level where our legal system can deal with it in a manner that's supposed to deal with it. So people feel like they can do anything at all. And we are talking, what we even have from UNDP is basically about the reported cases. So clearly you can imagine the number of cases that are unreported and then how they are dealing with it. And when it comes to the legal framework itself, one of the things that we, even as organization, we confront with has to do with the fact that when matters of that nature goes to the court, it takes time. So parents tend to be a bit laid back in reporting some of these matters to our judicial system so that it will be dealt with. But in terms of the punishment regime, I think it's deterrent enough, but we've not been able to combine that with advocacy for people to know that you cannot just take children for granted.
So, Bright, how do we reverse the trend? How do we make it unattractive for people to defile young ones? How do we ensure that come 2025, these statistics we see, and especially with children, will change?
I think advocacy is one thing that we should continue to do for people to know how to relate with children and at what level they can do that, so that when it comes to the issue of consent to sex and all that, people will not just do it because they feel like they can do it and go scot-free. And I also feel that, like the punishment regime, we have to speed up the process for people who defile children or rape others, can also face the law and get the punishment that they deserve. Once we are able to do that and combine these two, I'm sure that we'll be able to handle this issue properly.
So, Bright, let's talk about, the support for even victims at this moment as these frightening statistics coming up. Accra, above 300. In the Ashanti region, talk about 200 and over. In other places, the numbers, when you put together, quite frightening. Are there support systems for these victims?
Well, not really, unless somebody who wants to come in to be able to do that. But in terms of what the state is required to do, we hardly see that, because in most cases, even cases that have gone to court, for the court to adjudicate them where they have sentenced the perpetrator, there's a little said about how the maintenance and rehabilitation program of the child should be. So again, it comes back to the same thing, that a child has gone through that process and feel that nobody came to their aid. And when they also grow, they feel like they want to exhibit that. So the support system are not really working. So people just feel like they can do anything at all. But I think that one of the places that can also help us to be able to put that in context is our judicial system. That anytime that there is issues about social protection comes in, whether it is civil or criminal, and there's a judgment, I think that the victim should also be fairly addressed within the judgment to direct the child to a place that the child can go and seek for rehabilitation and maintenance. And when we are able to do that, I think that we'll be able to save a lot of children. But I always say that we should not even wait for this to happen, because as a country, our social safety net is not so strong for us to allow many issues to get in there. So we need to make sure that we tighten the entry point of our social protection system so that we avoid a situation where a lot of it will end up in our social protection safety net. So clearly, advocacy is very important at the entry points of our social safety net. And I feel that the court do have a very good and a strong role to play in ensuring that we don't just pack a lot of children in our social safety net.
All right, Bright Appiah is the Executive Director for Child's Rights International. Thank you very much for joining us tonight to speak to issues surrounding defilement. Kindly allow me stay on the NDPC's reports some more, because there were other revelations. Of course, it's their 2024 progress report. So the National Planning Commission, that's the NDPC, has made a startling revelation about the free senior high school, that's the SHS initiative, arguing that the program was not properly targeted, which has led to significant challenges. Well, the free senior high school initiative has been widely celebrated as one of the country's most successful educational programs, benefiting over 3.6 million students to date. However, according to the NDPC, despite the growing number of beneficiaries, the lack of precise targeting has resulted in various issues, including inadequate feeding program and poor infrastructure. Well, Chief Analyst of the NDPC, Isaac Kweku, highlighted these concerns during the presentation of the NDPC's 2024 Annual Progress Report.
Rate at KG and primary rather declined because the focus so much on free SHS and we didn't invest that much at the basic level. But this improvement can be attributed to capitation grant, school feeding program, and other educational related programs. So transition rate from JHS to SHS also improved per the data we have. Total enrollment in TVET institution also increased. So there was an improvement last year as far as education is concerned.
All right, so that's about all we have for you on Inside. But the discussion will continue. You could join us on all our social media platforms and make your voice heard. We're coming back shortly with some more details. Do stay with us. We'll be back soon. Well, thank you very much for keeping faith with us. We're back with some more local stories. And here, there is a sigh of relief for some 6,200 teachers who have worked between 6 and 9 months without salaries, as the Minister for Education, GHOne, disclosed that Cabinet has approved the immediate absorption of these teachers into the Ghana Education Service. Well, this follows a demonstration held by the teachers at the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Finance, demanding their unpaid salaries for almost a year of service. Speaking during a press conference, the launch of the 2025 triennial of the Association for the Development of Education in Africa, GHOne explained that the move forms part of government's commitment to ensuring that trained educators are fully engaged to improve learning outcomes across the country.
But we do accept that there is a challenge. When you have vacancies of 76,000 and you have applicants desiring to fill 76,000 with 393,000, you definitely will have Myself and Chief Director received a petition from some teachers who are unhappy with the government over their unending. They've worked for a number of months without pay. I'm happy to announce that Cabinet has given approval for the 6,200 teachers to be absorbed. We will begin the process in due course. They will have their IDs, but as I assured them, they will get back pay. But you see, I haven't demonstrated and pelted stones at sense. They have to pay for the stones they pelted because we will give them back pay. But for their conduct, what do we get in return? I hope that they didn't disrupt any academic work. So those 6,200 teachers, I think I can speak for both ministries in this matter. Cabinet gave the Minister of Finance approval to via budget and spend about 1.1 billion Ghana cedis to absorb a category of health workers and teachers. The process will start soon, and therefore no more picketing. Or picketing, they say.
All right, allow me to stay more on education. Now, in a bid to address the high demand for Category A schools placement, Education Minister GHOne has called for increased budgetary allocation to upgrade some Category B senior high schools to Category A status and Category C schools to Category B status. Well, the Temeng South legislator says this will, coupled with expansion in infrastructure across the country, will promote equity in students' placement. Speaking at a press briefing in Accra, GHOne explained that the move aims to bridge the infrastructure and resource gap among second cycle institutions and ensure fair access to quality education for all students, regardless of their school categories.
But we do accept that there is a challenge. When you have vacancies of 76,000 and you have applicants desiring to fill 76,000 with 393,000, you definitely will have a difficulty and struggle as I'm struggling. It could be any of you sitting here as Minister for Education. How can you fill 76,000 vacancies with 393 qualified applicants? That's a near impossibility. So we are doing our best. Category A, Category B, Category C, justifiably, every parent wants a child to be in a Category A school, but we haven't. In the last month, we haven't expanded infrastructure at any Category A school to have done the magic for us.
Let's now move to Parliament, where the minority in Parliament has rejected claims by the Minister of Health, Kwabena Akando, that over 6,500 nurses were recruited by the Nana Addo administration without financial clearance. Well, the nurses who protested over 10 months' salary arrears are to be paid next month, according to the minister. However, addressing the media in Parliament, ranking member on the Health Committee, Dr. Ayue Friye, argued that clearance was given for recruitment of the health professionals in July last year under the Nana Addo administration, contrary to the claim of Mr. Akando. Well, Dr. Friye rather accused the minister of failing to renew the clearance after its expiration in December, hence the challenge.
This clearance expired on the 31st by item 7. As you read, it said, please note that this financial clearance expires on the 31st of December 2024 and cannot be used thereafter. Now, in normal public administration and civil service of this country, financial clearances expire. Even under this government, they will have financial clearances expire and they will go for extension. It is a normal practice in the system. It's no news, but you could only use it when you go for an extension for the Ministry of Finance. So why didn't government see the need? Money was allocated for 15,000. You came in 7,000 or almost 8,000 had started. The remaining were employed by Ghana Health Service, albeit they were late, but they were at post. You didn't see the need to tell the institutions to reject them. Neither did the institutions write to you to reject them. What it meant was that they filled the gap and they were needed to be at post. So the institution used them. They did not extend this for political reasons. And then 10 months down, they faced an embarrassment where the students or the staff went on a public agitation, demonstration, to draw your mind to this clearance and the need for extension. Embarrassing enough, you are saying that you've taken it to cabinet for an approval. What sort of cabinet do you have to take for an approval when you have a clearance already? You're throwing that in the eyes of the people. So government created a mess.
Well, if you're just joining us, it's news. Local stories you and here in a world where difference often meets silence. Some parents have careers with love and courage of children born with Down syndrome, a condition that never defines their worth. Well, in Ghana, the Down Syndrome Association is giving hope, voice and visibility to these families. Well, this report by Peter Kwao Adato captures the heart of their journey, a story of strength, acceptance, and a different kind of beautiful.
It's a bright October morning at the Ghana International School, and for families, it's more than a day out. It's a celebration of resilience, love, and togetherness. For many parents, raising a child with Down syndrome begins with fear, but evolves into a story of unexpected grace. For Agnes and many others, this second family day out means more than games and health screening. It's a safe space to bond, share, and remind one another that they are not alone.
It is not an easy journey. It is difficult, but with acceptance, with love, encouragement from other parents who are raising children with Down syndrome, with all the early interventions, if you are able to apply them, it makes life easier for you.
With members across the country and even beyond, the association offers more than information. It offers belonging and hope.
Acceptance is the key. If you accept that this is the child I have, so what do I have to do to help myself and help the child? You enjoy the child.
These children can learn, laugh and love, just like any other child. As awareness grows, so does advocacy. The disability bill is under review with new hopes for better tax reliefs, health care and support for caregivers. With early intervention and the right support, they thrive.
When you have a child with Down syndrome, know that that child is blessed. And then do everything possible to make sure that the child is always good.
Supporting this effort is the Ibrahim Mahama Global Foundation, one of the main sponsors of this family day out.
There's nothing wrong with someone who has a Down syndrome. You can't even contract it in any way. They are just like you and I. We just have to show them care. A lot of people tend to snub them, and I think it's wrong. I just feel we should give them more love.
In a society where stigma still lingers, these parents are rewriting the story. One child, one smile and one family at a time, because love sees no difference. As Ghana marks Down Syndrome Awareness Month, the message is clear. Every child deserves a chance to be loved, accepted, and supported, because in their eyes, we see not disability, but possibility. Peter Kwawa-Datos report for GHOne News.
All right, so all is set for us to bring you the latest from our world of business.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Well, in business, some boost for Ghana's economy there. China has elevated Ghana to the status of strategic partner, a move that underscores the growing depth and importance of their long-standing cooperation. And here, President John Dramani Mahama visited the Chinese leader, that's President Xi Jinping, in Beijing on the sidelines of the Global Leaders Meeting on Gender, Equality and Women's Empowerment. Well, the new strategic partnership is expected to deepen cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative, facilitate investment and enhance people-to-people exchange. President Mahama, in his remarks, commended China for its consistent support towards Ghana's development and expressed optimism that the upgraded partnership would yield mutual economic and growth and prosperity for the two countries.
Not only stability and profitability, but also a strategic gateway to the heart of Africa. In return, we seek partnerships that accelerate industrialization and advance technology transfer and create shared value for our peoples. Ours will be a win-win partnership. Your success in Ghana and investment will be our shared success. Together, let us turn opportunities into achievements and ambitions into lasting prosperity.
Meanwhile, economics Dr. Evans Nunu has welcomed Ghana's growing bilateral relations with China, describing the move as a strategic partnership that could enhance the country's economic cooperation and strengthen its global bargaining position. Speaking to Lily Mohammed on GHOne Newsroom, Dr. Nunu noted that the partnership provides Ghana with greater mutual respect and diplomatic leverage on the international stage, particularly to the United Nations.
It gives us a better economic cooperation with the Chinese. Obviously, if you look at the behavior of the US now and some of their allies, there is a need for us to look elsewhere. I have always maintained that if you look at the way the American president disrespected AGWA, that is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, then there is every reason for us to look elsewhere. And I think this deal with China, or this new partnership arrangement with China, it gives us a better cooperation, economic cooperation with the Asian world. We had already been leaning on China for concessional loans and the likes. And China has also served as an outlet for most of our export, especially in terms of gold, oil, and the likes. However, with this new arrangement, there is that mutual respect, at least just as we used to have with the US in terms of tariffs. Now that we are saying that we are going to go into strategic partnership in terms of tariffs and in terms of supporting us in our international diplomatic relations, I should think that China's voice will be a leverage for us so that we will not just look like a mockingbird in terms of our meetings at the United Nations and the other world bodies, but we will leverage on the voice of China to have better negotiations. And so this is an addition to the relationship we have with them.
All right, so we want to stay on this subject some more. Dr. Ishmael Holovo is an international relations expert. He joins us tonight to break it down further for us. So, Dr. Holovo, thank you very much for your time. Now, let me find out from you. So, when you are told you are a strategic partner, tell us, what does it entail, Ghana, a strategic partner to China?
It involves the fact that you are now considered a priority among nations, so you'll be given priority. There are things that China will allow you to do in common. You have access to a lot more of Chinese investment. You have access to a lot more of Chinese trade. You have access to a lot more of Chinese technology. So it's a big deal. It's an important development in Ghana-China relations. It gives us a lot of leverage in terms of Ghana-China relations. It gives us access to China and Chinese development ideas, technology, investment, and other aspects that we have been looking for. It also gives us the political backing somehow of China, but then you should also understand the non-interference principle of China. But at least on international forum, we could count on Chinese support if we are pushed to the wall.
All right, Dr. Holovo, so just before I allow you to go, let's not be too excited yet. Let's find out, how do we ensure that this partnership is mutually beneficial? It's not one-sided. When I come to speak to you again, it's not like trade has moved one direction and it's against Ghana.
Thank you. I think that depends on that. It depends on the structures we put domestically to channel other Chinese investment, trade, and others to our own advantage. Now, so when you are given a strategic partnership like this, you should have a domestic framework to deploy them. So you have to mark out areas where you need Chinese investment to stimulate growth. So, for instance, you may decide that you want more of Chinese investment into agriculture or into manufacturing. And that allow you to channel the resources that may be coming to China to those areas. So you have to define your areas of strategic interest, and that will allow you to channel Chinese relation to those areas, and that will be more beneficial to you. If it is just what we have been doing over and over again, then it will be the business as usual. But then again, if you take the speeches of the president as the benchmark, then you will say that perhaps there's a change in how we want to approach this world. Perhaps we are more interested now in areas of industrialization, in areas of modernizing agriculture. So you will believe that this new strategic partnership will be channeled towards those areas that Ghana will be more beneficial to Ghana.
Very well. Very well. Dr. Ishmael Holovo is an international relations expert. Thank you very much for your time tonight. That will close it for business. We're coming back with more. Do stay.
The Business Brief was brought to you by Ghana, passion for technology.
So what is said for Benghazi to join us with the latest?
Well, thank you very much. And of course, in sports, we begin with a story involving the sports minister, sports recreation minister, Honorable Kofi Adams, who has waded into the arguments of whether Otoado should lead Ghana to the World Cup or otherwise. There have been calls in Ghana by some Ghanaians for the code to be changed ahead of the upcoming Mundial for Ghana qualified for the World Cup this Sunday. But according to the sports minister, it will be unfair for us to make this argument at this moment in time.
Coach Otoado has a contract with us to run our team as a national coach. That contract has not come to an end yet. So it will clearly be unfair to start talking about whether he is going to the World Cup with us or not going to the World Cup with us. So if before we will have any of these conversations outside, if we want any change, we should engage the person first. That's the way I work.
What's your relationship
but I
with
have
him like?
publicly stated that I am happy with him because most times after a game, he identifies that we should do this, we should do that, we should have done this, we should have done that.
Still staying with football stories, and President of the GFA, Kweku, has revealed that a woman will occupy the vice president position of the GFA ahead of the next GFA Congress. Speaking to the media, Kweku said the decision forms part of the association's commitment to promoting gender inclusivity and ensuring that women play a major active role in football at the highest level.
We're not here primarily to talk about boys football. Female football is very high on my agenda. Yes, we since I took office in 2019, I made a big commitment to offer a lot more opportunities to women. At the last Congress of the Football Association, we created one political opening for women. A woman will be the vice president of the FA going to the next elections. We've offered a good number of opportunities to women in the governance infrastructure of the Football Association. And now 90% of the black women players play abroad. What does that tell you? Opportunities and visibility offered by the FA is offering them hope, giving them livelihood, and giving them the chance to realize their dreams. So we are very happy to be here.
Let's move on and still with the GFA. Earlier today, they launched the MTN Elite U19 Championship at the association's headquarters in Accra. The championship is set to take place at the GHOne Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram from October 24 to 2nd November. The president of the association, Kweku, spoke at the launch, said the championship is a product he highlights in and believes that it will empower young footballers in Ghana.
This is a product of the FA which is so dear to my heart, because this age category is key in the development of football in our country. The U19 is a key policy giving power to the youth and ensuring that we put out products and create platforms that will allow the youth of our country, boys and girls, to realize their dreams. A complete structure in place. From U13, U15, U17 leagues, which are well structured across the country. And now we have a championship solely reserved for products from our national second division leagues across the country. And it's solely reserved for U19 players. This is what we call power today.
Meanwhile, the newly appointed chairman for the Elite U19 Championship, Honorable Edem Agbana, asked young footballers, especially those selected for the tournament, to remain humble and disciplined, as he believes that the championship will create opportunities for players to showcase their abilities in the championship.
MTN Elite U19 Championship is designed as a springboard for unearthing and refining young talents across the country. It will create opportunities for gifted players, many from undeserved communities, to showcase their abilities, gain exposure, and receive the technical guidance they need to excel. This initiative is not just about football, it is about discipline, teamwork, and showing the future of the Ghanaian youth. But to our young players, this is your stage. Train hard, stay humble, and remember that talent opens doors, but it takes character to keep it open.
And that's it for us with sports. My name is Benjamin Yamoa.
Right, so thank you very much, Benghazi. Up next, we have some international news for On the international front tonight, tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in Brussels as part of a national strike over government's reforms and spending cuts that has brought flights to a halt and severely disrupted public transport. Belgium's three big unions are protesting over pensions and other measures by Prime Minister Bart de Wever's center-right government aimed at cutting Belgium's three big unions. That's the budget deficit in the country. There were no services at Belgium's second biggest airport, and all departures and many of the arrivals were cancelled at Brussels airport. Although trains were running, most buses, trams and underground trains in the capital ground to a halt. Public sector workers were protesting against austerity measures and a government's increasingly perceived as leaning right, a key issue for the unions in the government's plan to increase the number of days Belgians work per year before they can receive their pensions, as well as the end of special schemes for several sectors, including military and railway workers. So yes, some of the images there from Belgium as the nation grinds to a halt with its strike. Still on the international front, Hamas carried out a mass public executions in Gaza on Monday, just hours after signing a peace treaty with Israel as part of a series of bloody reprisals following the withdrawal of Israeli troops. The gruesome video shows, the graphics footage shows 8 badly beaten, blindfolded men kneeling in the streets before each is shot dead by Hamas gunmen in front of a cheering crowd. Well, the terror group said, without providing evidence, the killings targeted criminals and collaborators with Israel. The BBC's reported among those killed was Ahmad Zidan and Al-Tarabin, reportedly responsible for recruiting agents to a rival non-Hamas allied militia. Following the IDF's withdrawal, Hamas has quickly looked to reset its control over Gaza, targeting the clans or family-based armed groups that had gained strength. On that sad note, we end news tonight. It was brought to you under the leadership of Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. My name is Kweku Temeng. It was an awesome evening. You joining us for all these updates, information, education, and entertainment would not end. Stay with us throughout the night. Tomorrow morning, we'll bring you more news. Enjoy the rest of your evening.